So they're known to each other. They're known to associate multiple members of families, kind of little, not business ventures, but little deals, trading cars back and forth, things like that happens out in the country.
Well, this makes sense because if the Wagners were familiar to the Rhodens, were friendly with them, then they would be able to plot these murders. They would be able to study their schedules, their habits, the layouts of the home. They would know where those security features were. If they had some video cameras or whatever set up, they would be able to do all that. And they would be familiar with the pets, those killer dogs.
Oh my
right?
God, Heather, you're an investigative genius, because that is exactly what the Wagners did. Police said they eventually discovered that they had surveilled the Rhodens for months before they meticulously planned murder took place.
I knew this wasn't just a random hit.
They were, and I apologize to everybody because I've really butchered a great story. Heather would have done better, but anyway, we're fighting through. But they had surveilled them for months with trail cameras and such of their own. They would recover it. Yeah, they would recover it and, view it. And they really got a feel for their habits, their routines. And actually they knew the layouts of their homes as well. They knew where they slept because most of the victims looked like they were shot where they slept. A couple of them, there was a scuffle and then they were shot. They were all shot. And, once they got it down pat and felt comfortable with and I still don't understand after looking through this and reading all about it, what was the fucking plan? What was the plan? Kill everybody and you end up with the kids' custody? Because, what the fuck kind of dumbass plan is that? Really?
I just don't understand. If you have a child with another person and there's custody battle, you don't necessarily get along, you've got a fucking co-parent. You can't just wipe out the other family and then raise this child and go on like nothing happened. How are you going to explain the murder to this child? And why would you I don't know. I just don't understand.
How do you look that child in the face knowing that you took a whole side of their family away from them?
Exactly. Knowing really, that you blew her mother's face off. How are you going to face your baby girl one day, walk her down the aisle, be there when she has her first child, knowing good and damn well you fucking murdered her mother? Who are these people? This is just...
Well, I'll tell you.
This is some convoluted, just nonsense.
Judging from their pictures online, and I'm sure you could help me provide the Patreon and everybody with some of these examples, they don't look very smart. Okay, as smart as they thought they were. They thought they planned the perfect crime. And it did take the cops, investigators a while to catch up with them. But I can just go ahead and tell you that investigators were not going to let this one go.
But and what's the guy, Jake Wagner?
Yes, that's the youngest
baby
one.
Baby daddy?
Yeah.
Little fucking ponytail boy.
Yeah, I know, and the other ones just look dumb.
I'm like, okay, with your luxurious Pantene conditioned hair.
It's VO5.
Fabio, why don't you throw that back in a scrunchie in your man bun?
So yes, investigators went on to, once they got the final piece of evidence, October 30th of 2018, they were ready to pounce, and they rounded up the Wagners. And I do believe one of them was found in the back of a horse trailer.
In the back of a horse trailer?
Yes. So that leads me on to the Wagner family has a bit of a strange tale themselves.
Okay.
Because you have the matriarch, if you will, old lady Frederica Wagner.
Granny Wagner?
Granny Wagner, Billy's mom, who was also arrested, along with Rita Newcomb, and charged with obstruction and misleading authorities and attempt to cover up, they probably obviously knew that they murdered them. So they got them on obstruction. And there was more than 80 charges brought against the 4 members of the Wagner family they got for the murders. Conspiracy, aggravated burglary, unlawful tampering with evidence, forgery of child custody papers, intercepting wire and oral communication. So somehow that leads me, intercepting wire and oral communication leads me to believe they either intercepted text or voice calls possibly or something during their surveillance and obstruction along with that, because all the lies and everything. Their story's not matching up, which is what originally got investigators wondering about the Wagners, because they were just going around basically asking everyone. And so yes, over this 2.5 years, investigators never stopped. I mean, we hear so many stories about cops not taking runaway, saying missing persons aren't, they're just runaways or just botching investigations. You hear that time and again. My hats have to go off to investigators in this case because they simply would not give up. Because the estimated time of hours of investigation is the tens of thousands. More than 1,100 tips, 550 interviews, 200 subpoenas served, 700 plus items tested, 10 states traveled to. They used new technology as it became available, and more than 4 dozen agencies worked in concert to bring these people to justice. That's amazing.
That is amazing. I'm really glad that they found the culprit.
I am too, because you know what?
What about these kids?
If you kill...
are these kids with relatives, or are they in state's custody? I mean, I'm curious to know, because not only did you take away the Rhoden family, but now the Wagner family is going to be gone. What is...
I may be wrong, but I believe they're in custody of some remaining members of the Rhoden family.
So sad.
Because, yes, it is so sad. 3 years old is big enough to remember something. That's big enough to wake up and go looking for mommy or whoever and finding dead bodies.
That's fucking traumatic shit
and
right
remembering.
There.
And, I mean, granted, the 6-month-old and the 4-day-old, that's horrible too, but you're really not going to. But, I mean, that is just...
A toddler?
Who? A toddler going to look...
Walking around in blood, probably?
Oh, my God. And so, the Wagners, they actually owned a little over 1,200 acres of land.
Wow.
300 acres of that being a really prestigious horse farm.
Are these moneyed people?
These people have fucking money. I mean, they're all known in the community almost like a Robin Hood type of, figure. The old woman there, Frederica. And they help people. They would give people jobs, at their farm or horse farm, make sure, help out people who, if they need a job, got out of jail, need a job, and, help come work until you get on your feet, and hold kind of community dinners and stuff. So that was another shocking element when it came out that it was the Wagners that,
because they were like a good family.
They were a good family, respected as well. What the freaking hell, dude?
And so all of this happened over a custody dispute?
Basically, they've never directly said, but it always comes back to custody issues, and it's been described as an obsession with control and possession of the children on the Wagners. Because they've forged child custody papers. They just basically they had homemade silencers. They bought brass catchers for the weapons to recover the shells. I mean, once the cops got in on them and they really dug and just looked up everything, it was pretty obvious that they were the culprits, honestly.
And they'd moved on to Alaska at that point.
And they had moved away to Alaska because, obviously, they were guilty as hell and wanted to get out of there.
Which makes them look even more guilty.
Well, it also means you got some damn money that you can just move the whole family or most of the family to Alaska, right?
Wow, this is really an amazing story. Thank you for sharing it, Dylan.
Yeah, I'll try to get better, guys. But it really is an interesting story, and I must say, originally, I didn't even catch it in my true crime obsession when it was happening. I caught a episode on Oxygen, the Oxygen channel. That's what first turned me on to it, so that was one of my sources. And then the Epoch Times, they're the local paper, was another source that I used. And then I just dug through articles and anything I could find online.
I mean, this really is something like a Hollywood movie script for real.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day,
it doesn't really make any sense.
It doesn't make any sense. I mean, not that murder's ever okay, but when you see even when it's money, even when it's insurance money, you see the clear motive. You see why, for whatever reason, this person did this, or revenge, or this. But it's like they can't even point to a solid reason why there's eight people dead, an entire family. I mean, they have cut, 2 generations, and I watched some of the court proceedings and a cluster of the Rhoden family left would, be there in the courtroom as they started, had a little, pre-trial and the first hearings of these people, the Wagners. And it's just really sad.
It's very sad.
I mean, you don't recover from something. You don't ever recover from loss of a loved one.
You
But
don't.
this is something that just devastates. I can't even imagine being leftover members of that
Well,
family.
these people just taken too soon.
All those people
and
gone.
in such a horrific way. And then you've got these poor kids left behind.
Yeah.
No parents.
Your brothers,
grandparents.
sisters, nieces, nephews, grandkids, all these people taken from you at once in one night. That's insane.
Well, Dylan, thank you so much for this.
Huh.
It's been a great Mountain Murders episode. I'm very thrilled that you took the lead.
I finished one, y'all.
He did.
Yeah. So anyway, it was fun. Thanks for listening, guys.
Thanks so much.